Well, here's a random update. This is about the cleanest it's gonna be in a while. Kind of interesting, actually. He said it's kind of back together. Long story on that one, but I had to piece it back together and snap a couple of photos for insurance purposes. Seeing as though I do want to get some kind of coverage on this for just in case anything happens. But it's kind of cool to see it all pieced back together, but also halfway clean. That was the different part. Man, these seats are junk. Looking forward to getting some tan cushions on these. Oh, that crack. Almost perfect, but meh. Unfortunately, the neighbors got their lawn service out there doing all the fall cleanup, so meh, can't really do much videoing. Unfortunately, there was just too much noise going on outside to film, but I'm afraid I've just confirmed that the alternator isn't alternating. As a side note, when I pieced this thing back together, mainly for display purposes, I did not bolt everything back up, namely this fender. A few of the bolts snapped on it. They were just rusty, and one was cross-threaded, and it just wasn't quite done right. But this thing was just too dang loose and rattly to keep running for too long. But long story short, that alternator, I have questions about it. Of course, one of the things I had questions about early on were these battery terminals. I wire wheeled out the inside of them, and they should have been clean and good to go. But when I put my meter on the battery while it's running loudly and smokily now again, thanks to that hole in the exhaust manifold. But when it's running, that battery is only reading, it varies wildly. It goes like from 3 volts to 9 volts to 13 to 8 to, it just goes back and forth. It's everywhere. When I had it running previously, somewhat stable, it was pretty steady at like 13 or 14 volts. So that told me the alternator was working at that time. I'm guessing that at this point it just decided, nope, I'm done. So the challenge here is that I don't know what that alternator is. Not a clue. Even when I had the thing apart, I wasn't able to discern any kind of sticker or maker's mark in the casting on it or anything. I mean, let's be fair, it is kind of... You're the camera on a stick. You take a good look. Do you see any kind of stickers, markings, etc. on there? I don't. So, I'm like the internet's worst car guy right now. I don't know alternators very well. I know there's a couple different types, and I think that based on the 3 wires here, it's one of those that has the internal voltage regulator. Given where this thing was parked and its overall condition, it's quite possible that thing's just done. I don't know. I suppose back in the day there were shops you could pull your alternator, take it over to them, and they'd do a quick cleanup and rebuild on it. These days, I don't know, is it just easier to just find something that sort of fits and swap it out? But I'm gonna have to do a little bit further testing. This wire was disconnected. It's kind of butt spliced on there, which I don't like. I don't like any of this wiring scheme here. It's all gonna go eventually, but I was hoping just to have it halfway running first, Yes, I'm rambling again. I thought I wasn't gonna do this. I was gonna do a lot less vlogging and a lot more action stuff. But until I can, until I get other things sorted out here, there's not a lot of opportunities for action, I guess. I'm still gonna have to tear this front end off again. Still gonna have to get that steering box out of there because yikes. Still gotta get the brakes done, guys. I mean, in theory, I know how to do it. Rip out the old master cylinder. You bench bleed the new one. You put it on there, hopefully with great speed, so you don't let a lot more air into the system that you just bled out. Then you do the wheel cylinders, and then you do the whole bleeding process. Furthest from the master cylinder to closest. I know in theory how to do this stuff. I've just never done it. I have a degree in this stuff from the University of YouTube. So that's got to count for something, right? Seen it done 1,000 times. Those dudes on Roadkill can do it. Why can't I? Well, I did have everything hooked back up. Where's that overhead light? Was behaving. Well, I did have everything hooked back up. I tested the lights. They don't work. So I don't know if the bulbs just failed long ago, or if that rat-eaten wiring that was sketchy to start with is just a lot more sketchy than it looks. Don't know, but progress has slowed decidedly on this guy. But I have another part to order in. I am getting the gas cap because that's just not working. I am getting a radiator cap because that one's leaking and just blasting all kinds of coolant everywhere. I did, of course, also pick up the proper gasket for the thermostat housing. So now I can go through and swap that out properly like I should have done from the start. I ordered the exhaust manifold. Surprise, surprise, it's back ordered. Man, I would love to not have exhaust gases just spewing out the side of the thing while my face is there tuning that carb. But that's about where I'm at right now. We're kind of stuck again because now I'm pretty sure we finally dialed in the fuel. The fuel's good up to the carburetor. It runs, it just doesn't run well. So it just requires a little bit of tuning. But now I've got a charge system issue. I could take this time to convert it back to 6 volt if I want to be a purist. Of course, that generator is questionable. Or I could just go find another alt. It's probably just easier because then I can actually jump it off the Honda over here again every time the battery runs out from cranking it for 20 minutes and it not starting. But that's it for now.